Midjourney version 6 is here, and it's made some serious strides in terms of quality, but at the expense of how we write prompts, or at least how we're used to writing prompts. So if you want to create images such as what you're seeing here, then stick around and I'm going to show you how to do that, as well as I'm going to introduce you to a guide that I've made recently. So without further ado, let's get started. Now it's got to be a bit of a long one. You may want to sit down, unwind and relax and grab a cup of coffee. So the thumbnail that you clicked on, this was the prompt behind it. And of course there's a lot to take in with this prompt, right? So many different aspects there to consider. And the reason being is because unlike version 5.2 and 5.1 and 5, as well as 4 of Midjourney, version 6 allows for greater creative control than ever before. So now this is the breakdown of that prompt and many different aspects to consider, which I'll be going through in this video right now. So in the last video, I came up with an acronym called L.E.N. So what that meant was locating a keyword, so cinematic still, film still, entering a genre, so in this case, say modern spy movie, naming a director, or if you don't wish to name a director, you can go into more explicit detail yourself and say, like, for instance, camera angle, shot type, mention that, or you can include the camera type, for instance, the Alexa XT, which was used in John Wick, if you see there, the XT. And the great thing about John Wick actually is the color scheme changed. So initially it started off very dreary because it was meant to signify at that point in the film that he'd lost his wife, and so he was struggling very much during that time. But then as his life circumstances started to change, the colors started to open up expansively and go into all of these other areas there, as you're seeing. So that's that. So you can do that with Alexa XT, as well as like shot type and camera angles. So these are the different camera angles: low angle, high angle, Dutch angle, etc., overhead shot, eye level and shoulder level. So that's that camera angle, shot type. And then you've got technical details, so you can use film gauges as signified in millimeters, so 16, 35, 65 and 70. So 35 millimeters is typically used in films, but then for instance No Time to Die in James Bond used IMAX 70 millimeters, as there mentioned, IMAX 70 millimeter film. And then we get into the character description: young beautiful brunette Russian woman with full lips and red lipstick. And then attire, what she's wearing a black evening dress. And then where she is, she's in a luxurious upscale restaurant. Inside, time of day, daytime, natural lighting and weather as well, which I didn't choose to put in that initial prompt. And then these are the additional parameters there. So aspect ratio, what's best for cinema typically is 21:9, and then S50, the lower the stylized value, the more control you are having over the prompt and its direction, and then that's cemented further by the style raw parameter as well. When you use style raw, you're having a lot of influence over the prompt's direction as well. So similar to that, and this is also equivalent to style low. When you look at the settings within Midjourney, you'll be greeted with these options here. So style low would be the equivalent of S50 --S50, and then raw mode is, of course, turning that on is really important for cinematic prompts. And then yeah, low variation mode, and these are my settings essentially. So that's how you do that. And then of course version 6, if you haven't already got that selected, but if you do want to select it via the settings, you can do so by going here and then selecting, version 6 alpha. It's in alpha right now. Once it gets updated and released, then some things may be changed, but I believe that most of what I'm going through today will be actually intact and applicable going forward. So the camera angles I went through and shot types. The lighting is separated into two different categories typically. So you have natural lighting, which utilizes sunlight or ambient light, often for a more realistic or natural feel, and then artificial light, which is like man-made lighting, which can range from soft, diffuse light to harsh, direct light, shaping the mood and tone of the scene. So if we go here, for instance, and we see the different examples of the types of lighting, I'll link this video down below in the description. So that's ambient lighting. That's practical lighting. So you can put these within your prompts and you'll get different results. So that's that. And then you get composition and depth of field. So right now, to demonstrate depth of field, if I do this, now my hands are in focus and the background is blurred. And the same thing with my face now. If I zoom in, the background will become more blurred and my face will become more focused. So that's depth of field. That could be indicated from a photography standpoint with the f-stop number. So right now this is f1.4 aperture, but you could go higher on on the aperture scale, so f1.8, 2.2, 2.4, etc. And that would make sure that it's more evenly spread across the whole image, that things are in focus evenly. And then composition and framing. So this is an example of framing there. So usually you have grid lines and you can turn that on in your camera. So if you have two characters, it's usually good to have each character like that if they're in a dialogue, to signify that, you know, we're there with them and we can see exactly what's being spoke about. So I'll link these articles in depth so you can read at the end of this guide. Now, color theory, I went through it briefly with John Wick, how it changed over time. Started off with very muted tones like that, and then it developed into more elaborate tones there with more colors added to the mix depending on his circumstances changing. So that's really good because color really can make or break a scene, I believe. So if you have colors that are very reflective of what the character's going through in that time period, then you can really add like another dimension, if you will, to your cinematic prompting. So now, with that out of the way, I mean, we've got so much to go through here, and I will link this guide, by the way, down below as a pinned comment. So with that out of the way, let's get into some prompting now with this particular information in mind, and let's follow this. Modern psychological thriller starring Daniel Craig, shot with an Arri Alexa XT. A low angle shot. You can even do commas if you like, just to make it a bit more neat. It's a low angle medium shot starring Daniel Craig. Here we can describe the character in more depth in a tuxedo at night time, walking through a storm, about to embark on a mission. Modern psychological thriller starring Daniel Craig in a tuxedo at night time, walking through a storm, about to embark on a mission in the middle of a sprawling metropolis. Muted color palette. And then here we would do lastly the parameters, so aspect ratio, stylized value, and raw version. So modern psychological thriller starring Daniel Craig in a tuxedo at nighttime, walking through a storm, about to embark on a mission in the middle of a sprawling metropolis while carrying two. And let's see what happens. So after having done that prompt, we got this result back. I think that really looks like Daniel Craig. What do you think? I think that's really good. Could be like a movie poster even. Then we got all of these other ones as well. But let's say I want to now add in the specific lens, because I didn't mention the lens there. I only mentioned the camera type, which was the Arri Alexa XT. So before we go to low angle, medium shot, etc., muted color palette, let's actually add in the lens, right, of what was used in John Wick. Hawk V Light. So this is the revised edition. A modern action cinematic film still of a thriller starring Daniel Craig in a tuxedo at nighttime, walking through a storm, about to embark on a mission in the middle of a sprawling metropolis while carrying two guns. Taken with an Arri Alexa XT with a Hawk V Light vintage 74 lens, low angle, medium shot, muted color palette. Okay, so now it's come back. I've ran through it twice, and I was hoping for a more similar resemblance to actual Daniel Craig, but you know, it didn't do that great of a job. That looks kind of close to him, I guess, but then you got this random umbrella there that's just like doing its own thing, so I don't know if that's good. And here, none of them really look that similar to Daniel Craig. Maybe the third one a little bit, but not so much. But I think it's done a tremendous job. It really has, with that muted color palette and that particular lens there. And let's do the same prompts. No, you're probably sick of this prompt right now. This will be the last example of this same prompt, but with a different color palette. Let's see if that actually makes a difference. Let's do a neon color and let's see what happens. So now here's what it's come back with. I think this is a lot more striking visually, really a lot more striking. I think I like that one the most, but the umbrella behind him really ruins it. That one's kind of cool as well. Yeah, that one's kind of cool because you don't know what he looks like from behind. That's cool. But let me know which one you like out of these Daniel Craig ones. So there you have it. Thanks for watching, and I've linked in the comments down below the guide of what you're looking at now and what we've gone through for the vast majority of this video. I've also linked some additional resources in there as well that will really aid in taking your prompting to the next level when it comes to cinematic prompting within Midjourney version 6. I've been Vay, and until next time, peace.